Hi students, Professor Kelly here, and I'm making this video working from a student's perspective on how to go about finding companies for your business policy selection. So here we are on the default page, the learning portal. We're going to go to company security. On your version, it could be called company, it could be called security, it could be called snapshot, as they modify some of these on the two different versions. If you do not have something like that, go to this plus up here, hit plus, and then you can add other tabs in. We are also going to need the screening tab, and you will do the same thing. You will add the plus or whatever in order to have that. So on the screening tab, we're going to go to the lower right and hit new equity screen. Now this is where I really switch into mode of being you, the student. Okay, so I have a screen and I can limit the entire universe of equity down to only companies that would make sense for me to pull. So I have to go over to the right first and exclude inactive securities. Why? Because we don't want companies that are no longer traded to be part of my universe. And we've already dropped it from 126,000 to 58,000. Well, we can do a number of things to get this started. So first you're going to type in NYSE, give it a second, and you're going to see North America, United States, New York Stock Exchange. We're going to click that. So as of right now, it's only picking New York Stock Exchange companies. Then we're also going to put in NASDAQ for NASDAQ. So here we are with about 4,300 companies. Look, if one of you wants to export it now and start throwing darts at 4,300, that's fine. But for me, as a perspective of a student, I'm going to limit it down some more. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to eliminate things that I'm not allowed to have in here. So one of them is called ADR, what's known as an American Depository Receipt. We can't have them because then they would be companies with foreign filings and they would not have a 10K for sure. And right now, it's still defaulting to include. So there's 154 of them. We want to change that drop down to exclude. We let it process. It takes a little bit of time. So we're down to 4,156. Now, we have been told that we cannot have utilities. And this GICS multi-source utility is the most broad sector we could have. So we want to check that off. It's going to add, but we want to switch it to exclude because we're not supposed to have utilities in. We're down to 4,107. We also don't want financials. Same thing, GICS, exclude. We're down to 3,889. Now you get into some choices here. I know that worthwhile companies are not going to be trading for 50 cents, $1, probably not likely $2, $2.50, or even $3. We can't just hit price. We have to click the item. And now we can put in, see, price now means today's price, greater than 3. We're down to 3,300. What I am going to do is I'm going to type in one called market cap. Common term is market capitalization, but they defined it as market value, securities level. So I'm going to click that off. Let's just put in 80 million. We don't know whether we're really going to filter much out, but it will take care of the really small companies. There are some other things. You could put a limitation on market capitalization on the high end. But why would somebody do that? It's likely, but not a positive, but it's likely that if you limit it down from a certain level that you're going to get less conglomerates, less companies that are sitting there and are in 9 different industries. So maybe we're going to type in market cap less than billion, which in this case is 1,000. We have 3,061, and it drops it to 1,425. Maybe that is a bit too tight of a parameter. While I might put it there, I'm not mandating, I'm not even highly suggesting other students do this. So I'm going to remove this row by clicking on the X, and I'll be back at that 3,000. Now, one thing I almost forgot that should change is common stock. We want ones where it's only the common stock companies that are coming up. I'm going to try to limit my universe even more because I want to pick the best company I can. I can either look for sectors that I like, industries that I like, or I can eliminate sectors that I don't think would be the most appropriate. So if I'm somebody who goes, well, there are good technology companies out there, but a lot of them are very big, and I don't want to have to get my arms around them doing 19 different things. Or they might only do 2 things, but I actually have to understand the technology to be able to talk about it. Maybe I don't want technology in there. So I could type in technology, and you could have information technology. I don't want them in there. And if I were to eliminate them, I know it's going to drop it down by 203. I'm going to exclude those. Now I'm down to 2,823 companies. It's a pretty wide range. So whatever you go that you want as your hard and fast rules for you, once you hit that point, you want to go up here and hit save. And maybe I'm going to call it business policy filter. And this is why I'm going to save it. I don't want to start going through the 2,800 companies yet, but I have my basic done. Now I can create different ones that I think might be helpful to me. So this is my hard and fast. Now I'm going to add other things, but because I have this saved, I can always just go back to this original base model, if you will. So you know what I'm going to do? I am on this more advanced one going to limit it down by the market value. And I want it less than 2 billion. I made it really big. I'm down to 1,750. So now we have to start thinking about sectors that we like. Sectors or industries that we think we might want to do or might understand. Well, I'm going to start off with one called industrials. We're going to go to industry. Industrial service sector. There's lots of different things in there. Or we could type in, we might like consumer staples because we like that. But let's just show you what happens with staples. If I were to type that and put it in, it's going to limit my existing universe down to just consumer staples. Has 19. Well, what I'm going to do here is one of 2 things. I'm either going to export it right now to Excel to look at later, or I'm sitting here with my partners and I'm looking at this first one. It says Anderson. I have no idea what they are. I click on the blue and I go, Anderson, diversified, okay, agriculture, railcar leasing and repair, turf products and consumers retailing. And I could either go, wow, that sounds interesting, or B, they seem like really diverse industries and I don't want to do them. And likely, me, I would say they sound really diverse, I don't want to do them, not going to write them down. Then I go to Avon. Oh, marketing of cosmetics and beauty. You know what? Maybe I want to do them. and I would write them down on a separate list. I would even look to see whether they're restricted or not. And then I could go down to B&G Foods, which I know is on the restricted list as of now, Cal Marine or Calavo Growers or Central Garden and Pet. If I wanted to make it really fast, because I'm the one doing this, my group's not here, but I want to be able to review this later with them, I would go from here, and I go up here, and you see this download to Excel. I would click download to Excel. I would click open, and I would file, save this as consumer staples. I would close it, then I go back in here. I get rid of the consumer staples, and I go, what's the next one I think my group might want to look at? And I would go with consumer discretionary. Maybe I think they want to look at that. There'd be 87 on that. I'd immediately go up to download. I'd download it to Excel, call it consumer discretionary, close it, come back in. Then maybe I would go and say, well, you know what? I like retail. Is there anything there within industries? Retail trade sector. You know what? That seems really broad. Let's see if I get that. 57. I would download that. Then I'd go back, close it out, and again, see how we can type in just about any area that we think may or may not be interesting. Because I could sit there and type in restaurants, consumer services. Restaurants under consumer services. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it even more broad, and let's see what happens if I just type in consumer services. Consumer services sector, 142. Because now instead of just restaurants, there's AMC Entertainment, American Public Education, Barnes & Noble. So again, if I went back to doing restaurants, I think 23 and a whole bunch of different Excels that are 20, 30, 50 are really easy to manage. And you could sit there and hand it off to, have 5 different areas, hand it off to your teammates, and each one of you first just crosses out the ones that are no good. Then, if you had this, and we downloaded to Excel, this would be the process I would go through for eliminating and filtering it down even more. So whether you jotted notes down or you exported these different ones into Excel, you would go next to company security. And you look here and you type in the first symbol, ARCO. And you drop down. Arcos Dornadas Holdings engages in the operation of restaurants. So far, so good. Operates and franchises McDonald's restaurants and the food service industry through its subsidiaries. Now we're getting a little involved. Following areas. Okay, so we found out this is a holding company that monitors and franchises things out. And even though we know it trades on the U.S. exchange, do we really want to understand the franchise rules and all these different companies and what they may or may not do? Me, without going any further, I would eliminate it. If I said this was a good company, and I'm purposely staying on this company just to show you issues, I would first go and look. They have some financial summary down here. If this was blinking red, meaning all sorts of things in this EBIT area and net income area were red, I would not even go looking any further, because it means a bunch of years there's no net income. However, if there's just 1 or 2 things, I could keep it on my possible list and look for more detail. I would then quickly look at something like this price volume, not because I care about the price or the volume, but if I saw, and I will show you an example later, that it only started trading in 19, 18, 17, I know that it only went public in the last couple of years, and I shouldn't be doing it because it has to be public for at least 3 full years where they have filed the 10K. Because if they just started trading at the beginning of 17 or even the end of 16, they may or may not have filed 3 10Ks. But if you see that it only started trading in here, you know it has not been trading long enough. Don't even do it. Then I would look, still on the same page, and I'd look at institutional and insider. What I care about is the insider, because I don't want this to be controlled by one person or a family, because if it is, I can't do much. So right here, I've made sure potentially IPO's fine, potentially income's fine, potentially insider's fine, and I would stop. And I put it in the maybe pile. Because it might not be your favorite company, but at least I'd put it there. And I would keep going through this with different companies until I had 10 or 20 different companies. Now my next stage, after I had 10 or 20 that we said might be interesting, I would then go to a thing called comps. And this means competitors. It will default to show just 5. I would just default it to show 30 or as many as it has. And I would look and go, okay, let's say I know what they did. I look at restaurant brands. I click on that. I go, holding company, okay. Operates quick service, okay. Burger King, Popeyes, etc. Tim Hortons. Well, this doesn't really say that it's doing only international or only international McDonald's. Maybe I could, but oh wait, their exchange here says Toronto. Their accounting may or may not be the same. So while it might be good as a second or a third comparable, you wouldn't want that as your primary. So then I'd go to BK Brazil. And we could read about it, see whether it matches or not. Oh wait, Exchange Sao Paulo. Nope. Yum Brands. Well, we know your stock exchange is okay. Development, operation, franchise, and license. So they develop and operate and franchise. So they're doing something different than me. So, therefore, I would not want that. And then all of these ones that either have 1 or 2 numbers or no numbers. That means they're private. So I ruled this company out. Let's imagine we had actually put up a more recent technology-based company. We're using Uber. Why? You'll see. We're going to go from the snapshot and we're going to go, I like the description. Oh my God, they're all red, but let's ignore that for now. Oh my God, they haven't been public. That would absolutely rule it out. We'd go to comps, and then we'd go, it would default to 5, we change it to 30, and we go and look at them and go, wait, Alphabet, really? Yes, it's a competitor, but is it really? Can I really compare these? Lyft. I click on it. Oh, I could. Blank. Couldn't. Tesla. Is it really their competitor at this point? Delivery Hero. That sounds interesting. Holding company engaged in the operation of online food ordering portals. No, doesn't match me. And while US, it's a weird exchange. Avis and Budget, they do car rental. You see how quickly it falls away from this? But then I could also go down, and if I wanted to know more, income statement. Remember, we're always looking at as reported. Now look at all this red. Income or loss from continuing operations. So operating income, negative, negative, well, they made positive. Net income loss from continuing operations, negative, negative, made it positive. But let's take a look up here. Revenue, 11 billion. Total operating expenses, 14 billion. They lost 3 billion before some weird other income expense made it positive. Now I have a company that in reality has 3 years of nothing but losses, and they look like pretty big losses. Well, maybe I still have a gut that I want to do this. Well, then I would want to look at the balance sheet and the cash flow, because I want to see really what they're doing with their cash, to see whether it's just something weird in income that's showing up as negative, or whether they're really operating at a loss. Operating activities, negative 2.9, negative 1.4, negative 1.5 billion dollars. You're going to be pretty limited as to what you can do, but you go, well, maybe they have $10 trillion and $1.5 billion is not bad. Well, let's take a look at the balance sheet and see what they have. Okay, they have 6.4 billion in cash. So about 4 or 5 years. Liabilities. They have 3 billion in current and accrued liabilities. If I have 8 billion in cash, 8.5, and 3 billion in current liabilities, means I only have 5 billion, which is about 3 years of money. Not that you couldn't do the company, but part of what you have to realize is you're limited on what you could do, and you would have to go and find more money. So already you've made your life more complicated. So now we've did a filter. We came down to 20 companies. We started going through and we found these issues, and we're down to 10. Now our last thing, filings. We're not really going to look at Uber. We're going to look at one that I know is a weird one. I changed it to 5 years already, and I changed this to annual and interim. So it's giving me quarterly and annual. Sometimes you come across weird situations like this one. See, it has one symbol, another symbol, one symbol, another symbol, one symbol, another symbol. That typically means they've been involved in some sort of weird merger. And if these symbols switch back and forth in the last 3 years, you don't want to do them. Meanwhile, you take a company like Campbell Soup. 10Q, 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 all the same symbol, 10K, 1 year. 10K, another year. 10K, another year. Wow, I have 3 10Ks. I know it's still okay on my list. Versus Bud, Anheuser-Busch InBev is an ADR. We already would have limited it out. Look at this. 11K, 140, 20F. I don't see a 10K anywhere. You can't do them. They're a foreign filer. They have 20 Fs. So if you work within just these 3 tabs at the beginning, you will make your life so much easier. Thank you very much.